So, as anticipated, you go away on holiday thinking it might not be too busy, and then just West Ham news sort of erupts. That sort of typically is the case, isn't it? But it's news that we were kind of expecting in regards to Mohammed Kudus. It's one that a sale that I think that not only do I think the club need to get done, we know that we need to get it done in terms of being able to provide funds, massively needed funds to Graham Potter and Carl McCauley this summer. I mean, look, my thoughts on it before I talk about the update from X is that as much as it's painful to lose a player like Kudus with his quality and undeniable quality, do you know what I mean? And you know for a fact wherever he goes, he's going to be good. He's going to do well. He's going to go do very well in his career. We've seen how good he is. I think when you look at him last season, he was a shadow of that player. And look, I'm not blaming Kudus for that. I'm not sitting there going he was a disgrace having to go at him. We were poor overall. We know how bad we were. We've been really poor. So he's not to blame. But I think it's evident when you watch Kudus how unhappy he is. He doesn't seem happy at West Ham. We know he wants out. And I know I repeat myself, but I've always maintained that it doesn't matter how good the player is, if they don't want to be at the club, and I just think you've got to move them on. I think it's the right thing for everyone involved. So it looks like things are starting to pick up. That this sort of bidding war that West Ham are hoping for seems to be sort of taking shape, which is excellent. Because we need, if we're going to sell Kudus, which we are, we really need this to happen because we want this value to be as best as we can get it. You know, we want to sell him ideally to Saudi Arabia. That's what a club over in Saudi. That's what we're hoping is going to happen because that's where the money is, and they're going to be willing to pay 85, 90 million pounds to get him. Unfortunately, it's becoming clearer and clearer that Kudus actually wants to stay in the Premier League, which doesn't help us. And it's also going to be a bit painful, isn't it? Because it means we're going to have to face him. And as I say, I just feel like it's just written on the wall. You know, wherever he's going to go, he's going to do well. So there's been an update from ex-WHU employee on the situation. I'm going to sort of just go through that quickly now. This is what we've said. So you've got to bear with me because I'm sort of reading off a laptop. Usually I'll be able to provide my notes, but as you can tell, I'm away, so I'm having to sort of like make do with what I've got. The most sellable asset we have is Mohammed Kudus. There is a lot of interest from the player, for both abroad and domestically. We've already reported the interest is from Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea and Newcastle, and now Spurs, unfortunately, have put their throwing their hat in the ring into this one, which is, I'll come and tell you in a minute what I think about that. But Daniel Levy is said to have made an inquiry into the valuation of the Ghana international. The club are reluctant to sell at the moment, and the inquiries that Spurs have thought to put forward is around about £50 million, and that's nowhere near what West Ham would deem acceptable amount. So that's good. At least we're sort of saying, well, no, 50 is just not enough. You're not going to be able to get him for that value, which I'm pleased to hear. It shows that we're not actually that desperate at this stage. The release clause is thought to be around about £85 million, but West Ham will consider slightly less than that. It's hoped now that a bidding war is going to erupt between the interested parties and drive that figure up close to the £85 million mark that we're hoping to get. This would then be accepted with the much needed money then going into the depleted funds to the club and to help obviously rebuild the squad for the summer. Although to see a player leave it would be hard to take, it's thought that some Saudi clubs would be prepared to pay close to £85 million. Okay, for kind of what I've just covered. So basically, I don't want to go over the end of the sentence because basically what I've just been saying. I'm not convinced he'll go to Spurs. I really don't believe that. In terms, I do believe, of course, that they put an inquiry in. I do think that they're interested. I kind of understand why. If they're thinking, well, West Ham are desperate to sell. He's a really good player. We can get the best out of him, etc., etc. You can't really blame them, and they've got money. You know, they're not a poor football club. Of course, they've got the Champions League football as well now next season, so it's understandable. I just don't see West Ham doing business with them. I think there's other clubs on that list that we'd much rather do business with. Let's be honest. I think even Chelsea. I think I wouldn't mind if it. Let's be honest. A toss up between the two, Chelsea and Spurs. I think everyone would agree Chelsea would be far more palatable. It's not going to be great. I'd rather him go abroad. That's what I'd rather see happen. I was hoping a sort of like a big Spanish club would come in from something like that and say, look, come and play for us. Because apparently the big drive, it's not necessarily for Kudus, is Premier League. Although he does want to stay in the Premier League, but I think his main focus is Champions League. He really wants to be in the top European competition. So I was hoping that we'd see a bit more for abroad around Europe, but it doesn't seem to be really happening. It seems to be between Saudi and Premier League at the moment, which is a little bit annoying. So I'm hoping that changes. Right, I'm going to go on to this bit of news, so bear with me a sec, because I've got to log back into this bloody computer now. The next bit is actually, I'll tell you what, before I need to read, it's about Jhon Duran. Did a video on him a little while ago, and basically that's been completely dismissed by the football club. That West Ham aren't interested in Jhon Duran. It's one of them that I've never really believed. I said in that video, didn't I, that I wasn't going to talk about it much, and I'm not going to really, because I just think it was always going to be that kind of. It was a rumour. I think someone latched onto it. The fact that he's not settled out in Saudi, and the club that he plays for, Al Nassr, are looking to offload him, but they recognise there's not many clubs that can afford him, can't afford his wages. So basically, what they were hoping to do was to offload him on loan for the season, and pay a large percentage of his wages. So that was kind of the idea. So obviously, people have gone, oh well, West Ham might be in for him, and you kind of get it. I mean, he's obviously a top player. I think it's quite clear. Let's be honest. He's a problem, and he has got a real issue with his attitude. He was trouble at Villa. He was trouble when he was trying to get a false move to West Ham. He's now gone and taken the money and gone to Saudi. I'm not blaming him for that. But that's what he's going to done. He's only been out there 5 minutes and already can't wait to come away. The guy just seems like a problem. And I just think that when you consider what West Ham are going through at the moment, squad rebuild, and we need a really good season. Do you know what I mean? We need to see that we're turning the corner and starting to look upwards. You don't want someone that's going to be so disruptive in the dressing room. So this is the update from X on that one. Coming here. We also told exclusively we have not made a move We also told exclusively we will not be making a move for Jhon Duran. When we contacted a top source to find out the chances of making a third move for the former Villa forward, we were told that ship has sailed due to the daft wages he's on, and he's very disruptive in the dressing room. So even if there's a major drop in wages, it's thought that he's disruptive behaviour. It's just basically make West Ham are just not interested. So I'm relieved with that one, and I don't really want to talk about it again because it's one of them. It's like a Jesse Lingard situation, isn't it? You feel like if you transfer, you're talking about the same player. I never really bought into the fact that we were really that interested. It would have been a strange one, I think, considering what I know and what I've reported before in terms of through X, etc. It's quite clear that Graham Potter's trying to implement this young, exciting, hungry side and trying to build a new squad, a new chapter, a new era at West Ham. You just think someone like Duran doesn't fit that. You just think he's going to be a problem. You just know he is. You know he's going to come forward. He's not going to get up with the managers. We're falling out of everyone 5 minutes. I just don't think it's all right. So yeah, that's the end of that one. So that's draw a line under Duran. That ain't happening. Now there is one that is happening here. Let's reword that. Isn't happening, but it's one that we're very interested in. Is El Hadj Malik Diouf, not El Hadj Diouf. Not him, not the former Liverpool one. Didn't he spit at fans once? Celtic fans? Yeah, horrible bloke. No, it's El Hadj Malik Diouf of Slavia Prague, who's a defender. He's only 20 years old. He played against England recently. He played the full game against England. Their 3-1 win over Thomas Tuchel's side. That was awful, wasn't it? What a crap performance. I haven't really talked about that, but God almighty, aren't England absolutely drab at the moment? I mean, I've got a World Cup next year, and I don't know about you, but my confidence levels are on the floor because the weird thing is, isn't it, when you're a West Ham fan, you always think like if you had international football, at least something to go. Well, I'm looking forward to that. There's a little bit of beacon of light. Even England are sort of absolutely awful at the moment. Not got much confidence in them at all. But yeah, it's a terrible performance. Anyway, going off track. Yeah. El Hadj Malik Diouf of Slavia Prague, 20-year-old defender. He only signed for the club back in January 24, but he's very highly rated. As I say, another young player, kind of fits that mould of what West Ham are looking for, that young player, that young sort of calibre of footballer that we're trying to bring to the football club. So I think that's one apparently the X said we need to keep a serious eye on, that we're looking to make a move. So that could be happening, hopefully something a bit more formal in the sort of coming days or weeks or whatever. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. There's a few more bits of transfer stuff I'm going to keep coming back, but this is sort of the big story at the moment, obviously being Kudus. He's going. We know he's going to go. At the end of the day as well, I think what we need to bear in mind, as much as we want this bidding war for Kudus, we want to see it happen and get that price driven up and to help, of course, build our summer. The fact is, we need this sale to go through soon because we need to get on with business and we need to start making moves for players. So as much as West Ham are going to sort of happy to sit back and see this bidding war happen, you kind of feel like we haven't got the luxury of time. We can't go, we'll wait to the end of the transfer window and then we'll do a deal at the end. I think West Ham know that we're going to need to sort of push things forward. So hopefully we can start seeing a bit more movement and start seeing some formal moves from clubs soon. And but I just hope it ain't Spurs. I don't think it will be. That's my gut feeling. But yeah, catch you later. I'm going to go and crack on with a bit of holiday stuff. But I hope you all well and keep you well, and I'll speak to you soon. Come on your minds.